Hey everybody, welcome back to Dating Dynamics. Matt and Nick here with you again. So today, first of all, we've been getting questions about talking about the live stream or like the aftermath of season two, Provo's Most Eligible. Oh, we might. We'll leave it at that. To put it succinctly, we felt bad for the girls and we felt bad for Keaton. So yeah, a pretty dismal affair, honestly. Had a few highlights, but wow, yeah, confirmed a lot of things we said. Not to
Pretty much everything.
be too self-serving here, but we like to be. Um, so today we're going to be talking about red flags. So these are things that you'll notice in people you're dating, perhaps, or maybe it's the person your friend is dating, or maybe you'll see some of these things in yourself. There's value in that as well. So that being the case, we're going to go to the first one, which is flakes.
Global flakes. So we've probably all encountered a flake in our lifetimes. It doesn't need a lot of explaining or introduction, but basically somebody that you can't rely on. You make plans, they cancel on you, and often at the last second. And there's always like a reason, but over time you begin to realize
Is there?
Yeah. And basically what it means is that either they don't have their life together. In other words, they can't manage, they can't plan things very well, or you're just not very high priority on their in their list of priorities. And either way, that's not somebody that you want to be attached to. It's not somebody you want to be with.
Definitely not. Like there's always that, for some people that urge to, oh, I like to chase someone. Now, just grow out of it because flakes, they're not worth your time.
Nope.
Second is someone who is abusive, and obviously that abuse can take different forms, verbal, physical. But the thing is, a lot of people get sucked in because the person is abusive and then they really make up for it. And you think, well, they came and apologized and they made up for it. But then it happens again. And then it happens again. And it's this cycle of abuse. And, you might say, well, it's obvious. Like, that's such a big red flag. That's not going to be a problem for me. But a lot of people get sucked into that. And, this is more common where men are the perpetrators. And the thing is, for some women, there is that desire to tame the beast. Like Beauty and the Beast. Like, I want to tame this guy. I see good things. I see potential. I just need to tame him. And, there are definitely people who can improve and can, and you might be able to do that, but you got to be really careful if they're abusive. And most of the time, you want to get out of that situation.
Absolutely. You have to respect yourself enough to be willing to walk away. The next one I want to talk about is the lost puppy. Um, so this is somebody, and this can be a man or a woman, but just like any of these can, but this one's pretty evenly split, I feel like, between men and women, that you encounter someone who you are their world, and it probably happens very quickly. It's like, yeah, if you're married to somebody, you want them to be pretty committed and all those things, but you've been on 2 dates and they're calling you and texting you all the time, and they have to know exactly where you are, and they get jealous super easy. And when you're not with them, their life is just horrible, like they're just a mess. Those kinds of things, that really shows that they don't have a life, and also that they don't respect themselves. And neither one of those things is good. It's not good to be yoked with someone who is always going to depend on you to make their life good. And at first it might seem great, because you're like, hey, they
initially
like me.
oh, this person worships me. It
That's
confirms
nice.
how great I am. Yeah. Look out. Better not be thinking that. But no, definitely something to look out for. It just not really just shows that they don't have a life that they enjoy and that they don't respect themselves, like Nick said. And so the fourth red flag we're going to talk about here is they're always the victim. So basically, for this person, if something bad happened to them in the past, it was always somebody else's fault and not theirs. So maybe that's their ex, or maybe it's their parents or their family or their friends. Like, if they're always saying that, if they never own it, they never own to, like, well, things didn't go great, and honestly, it was my fault, or at least was partly my fault. If they're not willing to say that, look out. Like, they are waving that's a major red flag.
Absolutely. And that attitude is caused from something Matt and I have talked about briefly before, which is called having an external locus of control. Your life, of course, this is their mindset, that their life is not something, they're just kind of along for the ride, and it's just nothing but a bumpy, miserable ride. Especially when things go wrong, because everybody's life, you have things that go wrong. That is someone that you definitely don't want to be yoked to, because they're just going to constantly, instead of improving, like when rough patches hit, instead of improving, they're just going to sink, and they're going to be depressed, they're going to be angry, they're not going to deal with things in a healthy, honest sort of way. And yeah, it's because they feel like their life is just happening to them, and they're just sort of...
They're not in control.
No, not at all. So since this is a pretty bad one of the things that I like to do in order to figure out really quick if the person in front of me has that external locus of control, if they're always the victim, is I'll ask them where they're from, and then I'll say, and how'd you like growing up there? And some people are like, oh, it was horrible, I hated it. And every time somebody says that, immediately in my mind, it's like, you've hated your whole life. It's probably not your life's fault. It's the way that you're experiencing it and the choices that you've made and how you choose to feel about the things that happen to you. And so that's actually a really good way of just recognizing that. But, with all of these red flags that we've talked about, people have them to varying degrees. And sometimes it's hard to know, like, well, should I just not date this person because they're a little flaky, or because they're a little this or a little that? Well, for Matt and I, the thing that we use to determine, is this person still worth dating, is how honest is this person? Does this person, are they willing to recognize these things in themselves and also communicate honestly with you about them, especially when you bring them up, right? You say, hey, you flaked on me like the last 3 out of 5 times we were going to get together. That's not acceptable. Why is this happening? And they're actually willing to talk it out and say, you know what? I've goofed. That wasn't the best. Let me work on that. I'll do better. And you see improvement, then it's like, hey, maybe that's salvageable. But honesty is the key. If someone's not willing to be honest, ditch them. Be done.
Definitely. Well, one more thing here is that you can get to a point where you see all of these red flags. Like, you recognize them and it's like, yep, I see that. Like, that's a problem. But it's one thing to see them, and it's another thing to be in a position where you can walk away and be fine with that decision. Because when you have a scarcity mindset, when you don't feel like you have really any good options, other people to date, and maybe your life isn't where it should be and you don't feel that great about yourself, then you can easily get stuck in those situations, even though you've got 10 red flags waving in your face. So if you feel like that's the case, that it is hard to walk away even when you see these problems, you just got to do what it takes to respect yourself and have your life in a place where you respect yourself and your life too much to hang around someone that's just not worth your time.
Absolutely. Well, guys and gals, thank you so much. We appreciate the questions being submitted. This was, I think it was a really good video topic. So keep those questions coming. And also keep your eyes out for maybe our video on the wrap up, the live stream.
What a dismal affair that was.
Yeah, but there are some good talking points. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. But anyways, either way, we'll be coming out with new videos every week. So stay tuned, and hey, get out there and date. Apply this. So have a good week.